It's Austria again for the Reds today. The sun is shining over there, the sprinklers are on. On Tuesday we got 2 draws. What fumble? Friday throw up. Yeah, the Reds' third game of pre-season is upon us. The first 90-minute match so far. Liverpool versus Mainz, and kick-off is at 5:15. All the action on the way from Austria shortly. But remember, LFC TV is the place to find all this summer's pre-season games. There are 3 more matches still to come. Next Thursday, the Reds face Hertha Berlin. That's a 7:20 kick-off, and that is followed by 2 Anfield encounters. Sunday, August the 8th, we host Athletic Club of Bilbao at 4 p.m. before taking on Osasuna the very next day at 7. OK, the thoughts of the boys shortly, but first, let's get the team news for today's clash with Mainz. From our man on the ground there, it's Peter McDowell.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome to SV Grödig. It's an Austrian third division club. Used to be part of the Bundesliga, but they have had to go down a couple of divisions because of financial problems. But setting looks really good. It is very warm, and that will be the first thing that I think Liverpool players will notice when they come down pitch side here. It feels very hot in comparison to where the base is, just probably about an hour away from here at the moment, where they've been based over the past couple of weeks. And it's been a brilliant couple of weeks as well, in truth. Jurgen Klopp and his coaching staff alongside his players have deliberately not allowed anybody else inside that camp aside from us, and we've played our part in everything from the initiation ceremonies to the quiz. I was part of that losing team that had to do a dance, and aside from it being an excruciating experience for me, I think the most consistent thing that you notice over the past couple of days is how much importance the football team, the football coaching side are placing on there being a really good atmosphere around the place. So it's everything from changing training grounds on a regular basis, giving the players something to do alongside the really intense training schedule that they've been part of. They were up in the mountains yesterday. They had a meal together as a team. Of course, you'll have seen them on Sadio Mane's social media feeds as well, in the water. They've been on pedal boats. It's all about trying to keep this family atmosphere going, because none of them have been part of anything like this before, even major tournaments for 4 weeks. They've obviously got something to play for and a trophy to focus on. This is merely about staying fit and staying happy. So the team behind the team almost have had to come up with loads of new ideas to try and keep the smiles on their faces. Everything has gone well so far on the pitch as well. Alongside that, they have to try and keep players fit, of course, keep them agile, but also keep them away from injury. And I think the big positive has been the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's looked really impressive in the sessions. Of course, he only managed 3 days of that training last year before he had to drop out with an injury. He's been playing as that false 9. And of course, on the academy side of things as well, I know the coaches have been very impressed with the young players that have stepped up to this level. Only had half an hour or so to look at them in semi-competitive games, but this is a real step up against Mainz here this afternoon. And you'll notice that as well also when you take a look at this Liverpool team that will start this first half as well. Kevin Keller, who will play in goal, had a slight problem with his knee, but he is back and playing really well. He kept the older players at bay in an old versus young session yesterday, so he is more than ready to play. He starts in goal. Then the 2 fullbacks, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kostas Tsimikas. And then the real contention and the real talking point amongst most of you, I'm sure, will be who will start the season at centre-back. Matip has been brilliant so far in the sessions, and he's probably in that driving seat, you would suspect, at the moment. Kanate starts alongside him. And then an interesting look about the midfield. Milner will play as the 6. Cater on the left-hand side, and then Harvey Elliott, who played in that front 3 in the previous game, he will play in that midfield just in support of Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then it's Salah and Mane with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, as mentioned, as that false 9 for Liverpool in this first half. We are expecting 11 changes at the break. Diogo Jota, interestingly, will be a part of that substitutes bench. They probably won't use him unless they need to, but still, the fact that their pressing monster, as Pep Lijnders has called him, is involved in that side is really good news for Liverpool tonight. And of course, just to confirm that big bone of contention where Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk are concerned, they look brilliant at the moment, and they look very close but not involved in the playing squad here tonight.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, Jota back amongst the group. He's one of 16 subs available today. There are 3 goalkeepers on the bench as well. We expect lots of changes through the course of the game, of course. Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you. we're back again.
Afternoon. Nice to be back, Mark.
Oh, it's very nice to be back. Very nice to see you two as well. And football is here. Stephen, you were in the studio for the games on Tuesday. This is sort of the sort of second match team with a couple of the guys from the first game chucked in. A stronger side overall with the likes of Trent and Konate coming in. Who caught your eye on Tuesday from the selection is in tonight?
I'd say Harvey Elliott was one of the standout performers. I think there's been a lot made of his loan move to Blackburn, how he's progressed and how well he did. Well, quite a lot of assists and goals. And then it's now, can you come back and make an impact in the Liverpool squad? And listen, it's pre-season, you're trying to get your fitness, but he'll be thinking this is an opportunity to stamp his authority on the squad. I think it was interesting when we had the interview of Jurgen Klopp afterwards, speaking about him, saying that he was more impressed with him because he played a different position, he played in that midfield role and he impressed.
Do you see him as having a chance to progress and be part of the first team group this season, or is he a sort of asterisk against you? Not quite sure yet.
I think he's the asterisk. I think you're right in what you say there. I think it'll be off the back of the pre-season, how people, whether there's injuries, but what you do see with him is that there's no lack of confidence. You know you can trust him coming into a game. You know he's not going to be shy getting on the ball. He'll try and make things happen. He's inventive when he gets on the ball. And he'll always try and unlock a defence, which is often when young players come into a team and they play higher up the pitch, they play a little bit safe. He doesn't try that. He wants to make things happen. So I'm really excited to see how he does progress this season, because I think he can be the next breakthrough player.
I think when you look at it as well, we've seen it in a previous pre-seasons, with the likes of Curtis Jones emerging, go back a little bit further, Trent Alexander-Arnold coming through the youth system. I really am looking forward to seeing Harvey Elliott. I think he's got a real intelligent football brain in his head. What he lacks in stature, he makes up with quickness of thought, and I think this is a big season for him, and hopefully this will be his breakthrough campaign. Yeah,
they call him the Diamond, a chance for him to shine potentially today and through the season as a whole. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain on Tuesday played sort of a false nine at times. He's in a similar role tonight. Interesting, a time to experiment to a degree in pre-season as well, so why not?
I think it suits him better, to be quite honest with you. I think it gets him more involved in the game. I think sometimes if he's in a wide position, he can kind of drift out the game. Lacks a little bit of concentration for me at times. The more times Liverpool can get him in possession of the football in good areas of the pitch, and by that I mean round about the edge of the 18-yard box, the opposition's 18-yard box, I think that it's a big plus for us. I think when you look at the likes of Matip, the likes of Keita, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain, big old season for them really. You know, after coming back from missing most of last season, and probably even the season before that, I think they've got big points to prove, the three of them, fitness-wise. Ability-wise, I don't think there's an awful lot of question about them, but certainly to keep themselves fit and be sustainable throughout the course of the season, it will give Liverpool so many different options when the season starts.
Joel Matip played in the first of the two games and chose a slightly easier game, perhaps against a weaker opposition. Is this the natural progression for him to get back up to speed, playing against a slightly better opposition in a more developed Liverpool side, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, we're all talking about Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk and how they're integrated back into the squad and how you've got to look after them. He's exactly the same now. You've got to take care of him because he is... Listen, he's injury prone. You know he's going to have problems throughout the season. You're trying to build him up and build his strength up for the start of the season. I think you've also got to be very careful with him, not overly push him, because he can be important for the rest of the season.
I've been there. I was exactly the same as Joe Gomez in my career, Joe Matip in my career. You know, loved it when I played, and did okay when I came into the side. Side did okay as well. But you're no good to anybody if you're only coming in for 4 or 5 games and then going out for 6 and 7. So it's a big season for not just Joel Matip, but the three guys that I mentioned, Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, we'll hear from Joel Matip a little later on in the programme, of course. You always get kind of knocked to one side. We talk about Joe Gomez, but he was a key figure in the Champions League triumph, of course, not that long ago. OK, well, Andy Robertson this morning became the latest Red to rejoin his teammates. He won't be involved in this evening's game, but was out on the training pitch doing his running test a little earlier.
How was that?
Yeah, good. In the off-season, that's the test you think about, and luckily it's complete, so hopefully I get a wee touch of the ball this afternoon and the hardest bit's over.
Good to be back.
Lovely to be back. Lovely to be back. Missed you all.
Yeah, from a left-back without a tan and one with a tan in the studio here. We certainly missed him too. We're going to hear from his left-sided partner, Sadio Mane, a little later in our build-up. First, though, to the boss, who's been speaking with Pete ahead of today's game.
Well, Jurgen, I think the first thing the players will notice is the heat here, but how are the instructions different from the game the other night?
Not a lot. We should be a few days further, obviously, because we had the game, we spoke about it, we worked on different things, so you always want to see the next step. But the heat makes no difference because it's pre-season. The opponent is 2 weeks long in the pre-season. That's the first challenge. The heat is the next challenge. That's how pre-season has to be. But I think in front of around about 3,500 people, we should have enough energy.
Very familiar opposition for you, and also familiar in the opposite dugout as well. One of your former players in charge.
Yes, Bo Svensson, right? Is my former player. Our Liverpool former physiotherapist, Chris Robertson, is there. Lost 2 stone or so. I take that personal, actually. I know my old kitman is here as well. So I had already a few chats. So yeah, it's nice. It's yeah. Everybody knows about my relationship to the club, so I'm happy that they play in the Bundesliga. I'm happy that we can play them today. So far everything good, and now let's play the game.
And just finally, Diogo Jota added to this squad if you need him tonight. Andrew Robertson's arrived as well, which has brought a lot of smiles around the place.
Yeah, really happy. Really happy about both. Yeah, but Diogo is a day longer here, so we just in case. Yeah. If we have to do anything, he could probably play a few minutes. If we do it, I'm not sure. And Robbo had his lactate test this afternoon, the second session, so I'm not sure if he's here, but no, probably not. But now from tomorrow on he will be a proper part of all training sessions, so it's good. We are getting there.
Thanks for your time.
Well,
thanks, Bosh.
In good form, as he often is. Yeah, it is a case of friends reunited once again. We played Mainz twice before in friendly action, one in 2016, and of course Jurgen was here. We got battered 4-0 that day, so we'll gloss over that. But it makes sense, doesn't it, if you're a manager, to go back and rework with the clubs you've worked with previously. He was fondly thought of at Mainz. He saved them from relegation from the second tier, then got them up into the Bundesliga. He's a popular figure there, so it makes sense to rediscover your connections again.
Oh, absolutely. Why not? I think it fits well, doesn't it? I think he had 7 years there as a manager. Before that, obviously, as a player as well. And he's obviously got like firm attractions to the club. And I think when you know the man, Jurgen Klopp, I think when you look at his career, certainly his managerial career, 7 years at Mainz, as I say, 7 years at Dortmund, was it now at Liverpool? It's almost getting up to 7 years as well. So he doesn't, just come into a football club and stay for maybe 18 months or a couple of years. He's there for the long haul, and I think he said that when he came into Liverpool, and that's his sort of personality and that's his sort of character. And you have to say that everywhere he's gone, whether it be Mainz, whether it be Dortmund, and certainly here at Liverpool, he's a loved kind of character.
Yeah, not many managers are still revered at all their previous clubs, but he is. This is perhaps another good challenge as well. Obviously, we had Stuttgart on Tuesday, but these were a team that finished the season very strongly, finished 12th, but only lost twice from February onwards, and a couple of big results in there as well, Stephen. Yeah,
you want the best opposition in pre-season. I think you always want to know what level you need to get to. Often you can come off out of a game and think, well, they might be a week or so ahead or a couple of weeks ahead, and you're thinking, well, that's the level we sort of need to get to. It's always a test. You want to play against the better opposition to see how you're faring tactically, how you need to maybe get closer to a man, maybe half a yard, and you just get a better level from the teams that you're playing against. The better the standard is, so it will be a really good test.
It's a build-up though, Steve, isn't it? Like you start off kind of like gently and slowly, and then build up. Obviously, I mean, I remember the days where we used to go to like play tournaments, and you're playing against big clubs like Inter Milan and AC Milans and things like that. I think it's a gradual process. And I think one thing you would say about Liverpool under Jurgen, we play an awful lot of games pre-season. I think we play about 8 or 9 games. Maybe it'd be a little bit different this season, obviously for obvious reasons. But there is an awful lot of games. The emphasis is put on games to get your fitness and get your match fitness. Not just your fitness, but obviously technique and like technical stuff and patterns they play and things like that as well.
His focus seems to be, we've seen the pattern over all his pre-seasons here, yes, he has lots of games, but it is short, sharp bursts. He wants 30 minutes, he wants 45 minutes, then maybe 60 minutes. He isn't one that sends the guys out for a full 90 in pre-season. He wants focused effort rather than that point where you get weary.
You won't get that from many managers now with the sports scientists involved. I think what you're trying to do is you'll probably see the 30-minute games from the other day. Today will be 45 for most of the players. Then the next game will be 60, and you're slowly building yourself up, and that's the way that you tend to do it. But there is an emphasis on the way that Liverpool play. I think it's high intensity. And what you're trying to achieve is, what often, I don't know whether you were the same, Gary, I'd only feel match sharp after 5 games into a season. Whereas I think Jurgen Klopp's going, well, you can't afford to be 5 games in. It's got to be the first game of the season. And the pace that we have to play at, you've got to go over teams, and you've got to make sure that you're ready for that challenge straight away. So I think that's the reason we have so many games.
I think the one big difference, certainly from my era, was that you used to train and then play, but you never played and trained at the same time. Now they're playing games and still putting in the hard yards as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. OK, plenty more build-up to come from Austria in a few minutes' time. But first, there was some sad news off the field yesterday with the passing of former Liverpool player Tommy Leishman at the age of 83. The Scottish wing half scored 7 goals in 118 appearances for the Reds during a 4-year spell between 1959 and 1963. Leishman, seen here, third from the right on the back row, was a key part of Bill Shankly's side, which earned promotion from the 2nd Division in 1962. The Reds have, of course, remained in the top flight ever since. The thoughts of everyone at LFC are with Tommy's family and friends at this sad time.
Pre-season. Let's get started.
Down and surely into the net, and it's Sadio Mane.
Bent in by Trent. Allison's what I've just seen!
It comes to Lallana! And Mane's turned in, and Sadio Mane for Liverpool! Shaqiri. Wijnaldum! Oh, Pickford's lost it! Divock Origi! Unbelievable! Number 6 is on its way to Anfield! And Salah for Liverpool! Have a little bit of that! There's the cross. Lovren! Stunning moment, stunning hit. What an arrival in a red shirt. It's Alexander on. Oh, it's Alisson! Unbelievable! It's absolutely astonishing!
Through the good and the bad, we've always had hope in our hearts. Our togetherness is what drives us. Never afraid of the dark. We go on, side by side in support of each other, giving us the strength to face the future. And yet, it's about more than just football. With a sense of pride, we must stand as one and fight for all that matters. We've always stood strong. Our power is unity. Our strength lies within. Through the storm, we walk on. With our heads held high, we walk on. Never alone. We walk on.
Mainz 0 thump for the opponents for Liverpool today. I think that's right. The Austrians, well, that's where they've headed to. The Bundesliga side had made the short trip over the border to Austria. Jurgen Klopp's former side, of course. He's very popular with them, and that man is very happy to be there indeed. Making a roaring trade with the hats, no doubt. To the teams for today, let's remind you of Liverpool's starting lineup then from earlier. It's Kevin Kelleher who comes in after he's back from his break. He starts in goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's Iber Konate, Joel Matip and Kostas Tsimikas across the back. James Milner, Naby Keita and Harvey Elliott as the three in midfield. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain are that attacking front three. 16 subs, plenty to pick from after the break. Mainz line up like this. They're in decent form. Like I say, they finished 12th in the Bundesliga last season, only lost twice from February and managed to beat Bayern Munich along the way. They will not beat pushovers this afternoon. OK, we can hear now from a rejuvenated Sadio Mane, who scored his first goal of pre-season against Stuttgart on Tuesday. The forward is feeling fresh after his longest holiday from football in 5 years.
It's always important as a player to have a break, because I can say since I came to Liverpool, it's the first time I'm having 4 weeks or more holiday, so I think that's also sometimes help a lot. And well, I can see from the day one everybody was looking sharp, which was for me unbelievable. And yeah, I think in the same time I'm not complaining about having 2 weeks or 1 week holiday. So I think it's always extra for us to have this kind of long holiday, long period holiday. And in the same time, we've been working in the individual training, which is also important, because you can see now from the day one, everybody was looking, like I said, now looking sharp and ready to go for the new season.
I think you've said in the past that you don't feel as though you need long holidays, but the fact that you have had a longer holiday this time, do you feel physically better? Do you feel better because of the rest that you've had?
Yeah, sure. That's if I just have to be too honest. I think everybody and myself for sure. I feel more for sure already. In the same time, I always say tiredness is here, but obviously you have to be mentally strong to cope it. But in the same time, I think the rest is just rest, and it's the best. So I think now we all rest properly, so that is another advantage for us. So we're looking to be ready for the season now.
Yaya Toure was at the hotel today, and he's a friend of yours, isn't he? I think you asked the manager, could he come in and watch you guys work at Klopp's
In the first time, first of all, I think he's City player. So the beginning, I say, yeah, do you think it's the best idea to come to watch our training? Say, oh, why you don't go to say Pep Guardiola? I say, hey, my friend, I'm coming there, so just say your boss, I'm coming. Well, he's a very, very good guy, and I knew him since 2004, and he's a good friend of mine, so I always keep in touch. And when he asked me if I can ask the boss if he want to come to watch the training, I say, well, with pleasure. And I think the boss was happy to have Yaya with us today to watch the training and learn something, because I wish him all the best. He want to be a manager in the future. And well, we all the boys was happy to see him and to have a quick conversation with him, and to a little bit talk about City, Liverpool. And yeah, well, it was nice to meet him again.
You are away together for 4 weeks, you're living in each other's pockets almost. Are you checking in on each other? Are there lots of times where you have to check whether people are happy and smiling and looking forward to football?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes for sure, we are together here, so it want to be 4 weeks, which is the first time, but all the time, sometimes obviously I think we have a nice time. So I think we sometimes go out, like yesterday, you can see some people struggling how to swim in the water. I trying to pull Naby in the water, he didn't want. So I think all this kind of things is important, and you can see how the team are happy, joy, happiness together. I think it's really important, and you build something special, and you can see, let's say, it's like a family.
Sadio Mane there, just reflecting on the benefits of a proper summer. It's worth reiterating just how hectic his schedule has been. Joined us in 2016 having had a proper summer. 2017 he was injured, so he was working on rehab through the course of the summer. Then he was at the World Cup the following summer. Summer after that in 2019, African Cup of Nations. Then he had a short break last year because of COVID. This is finally a proper 4-week break after Senegal's last international on June 8th. A huge difference to his energy levels and potential for the season.
It's the price of success, isn't it? And that's what it is. When you're a successful player and you're sought after by your country to play in the major competitions, then you don't get that break, and that's the price that you pay sometimes. And I think it's been a blessing in disguise that they've got this break this summer. He's been able to get it. He did look tired last year, I think physically and mentally. So I'm sure the break will do him the world of good, and he looks like he's playing with a smile on his face. He got a goal the other night, having started not in the greatest way in the game. He looked a little bit edgy, a little bit nervous, probably bringing in the form of last season. As soon as he got the goal, he started to play like the old Sadio Mane.
He got 16 goals last season, which by anyone else's standards is pretty decent, but the 3 seasons prior to that, he had over 20 in each of those campaigns. And he did struggle a little bit last year. He spoke about that himself. He said he went away and got tests just to see what was wrong. He felt a bit lethargic. You know, everyone has a sort of breaking point. Everyone needs to recharge at some point. He could be huge if we can get him back to the level of 2 seasons ago.
The thing is, you set your standards, don't you? And any time that you fall just slightly below them, then you're deemed well, not a failure, but you know, you're always like looked at and pointed the finger at. I think it'll do him the world of good. I think he did look a little bit jaded last season, and a jaded Sadio Mane, kind of a bit like Oxlade-Chamberlain for me, kind of drifts in and out of games, still can be really lethal at times, but sustainable. You need him to be at 100% level all the time if Liverpool are going to function with that front three how they want to function. And I think, as I say, this little break will do him the world of good. I think he plays his best when he's got a smile on his face.
Yeah.
I think when he's enjoying it and he's having a little bit of fun, and hopefully we'll see the best of him this season, because no doubt the best Sadio Mane is good for Liverpool, and he is probably one of the best players in world football at this moment in time when he's at that sort of level.
Speaking of fun, he's been having fun with Naby Keita, his good friend, while they've been over. There is about a bit of team bonding as well across the course of it. Action on the waterways over the course of their time in Austria. Nearly managed to push him into the water. You touched on it earlier, Gary. Naby Keita, it's a big season for him. Do you feel he has to come in and play a run of games now to kind of really convince people that he's got a future this season and beyond?
I think it's always been difficult for Naby Keita since he's come to the football club, similar to Oxlade-Chamberlain, whereas they come into games or into the team, played a number of games, played okay in fairness to them. Some games have been really, really good, influential, but then they get injured and they go out the team and they're out for maybe 5-6 weeks, and you're wondering where are they and what they're doing. So an extended run in the side, I think, for him is like vitally important, because I think he is a vital cog. I think he gives us a little bit something different, other than the three, Henderson, Milner. I was going to say Gini Wijnaldum there for a minute, but he's obviously
still not recovered from that.
So that sort of ilk like midfield player, I think he gives a little bit different, as does Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I think, you know, we say it often enough, it's not just about fitness in pre-season, it's about camaraderie, building a team bonding and things like that. So all these little things, like, you know, playing about on the water and things like that, they all help. And as I say, come like January or something like that, or like maybe February or something like that, that's when you get the benefit of having all your guys together and pulling for each other.
As Pete mentioned in that interview, there was an interesting visitor to the camp. Yaya Toure was there, big friend of Sadio Mane. He's asked if he could visit and watch training, and Sadio facilitated it. He spoke to Jurgen Klopp. Even had Liverpool shorts on, which was nice to see. An interesting observer. No problem with having a former Man City man behind enemy lines?
No, not at all. I think just even to have him in and around the place, someone different to talk to. I think it's always interesting when you get someone of that calibre wanting to know what you do and how you train, because he might be someone in the future who just wants to be a manager himself or be a coach, and you take little bits and pieces. I think for a retired player to be in and around the training ground as well, it gives you that buzz again, doesn't it, of the sense of being in and around the team. So I don't see it being a major problem. He's not exactly going to go back to Pep. There's nothing new that Pep doesn't really know, is there, that is going to be different this season.
That is very true. OK, back to this afternoon's game then. We can hear from one of the players who starts today. Joel Matip is with Pete.
Joel, what are you looking for from this game tonight as a team?
It's a good team we're playing against. We have to be prepared to give 100% because they can play football and we have some tough weeks in our legs, but this is the training camp. That's what it's for. So you have to get adapted to the circumstances and to the
You've been in great form so far in the sessions that we've watched, and at the heart of the defence there's going to be so much competition for places this year, isn't there?
Of course. In a big club like Liverpool, there normally, if everything goes right, there are always a lot of competitors, but this belongs to a team like Liverpool, and I'm not afraid.
And personally, just finally, is this the best condition you felt in pre-season?
Oh, I'm not sure about this, but in the moment I'm feeling quite fine, and I hope it stays like this.
Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks, pal.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Joel.
He's a quirky character, is Joel, but a much-loved character, a bit of a cult hero in some ways, Gary, but also a very good footballer.
Excellent footballer. I think, you know, there was a time probably, what was it, 12 months ago when he was playing alongside Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk was probably second best to him, to be quite honest with you, for many a game. And as I say, that's what, you know, that's the big thing about Joel Matip. When he plays, I think he's an exceptional centre-back. We just have to get him out on that pitch more often. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Obviously, Konate coming into the club. You've got like Gomez. It'll be interesting to see what the partnership's going to be.
Yeah, plus we had the boys who stepped in so admirably towards the end of the last campaign. Yeah. You know, we spoke earlier in the programme about the need to keep him fit. One a few other players like that as well. Is the big thing now that we've got more cover at centre-half? So with Konate coming in, there's not that reliance. A couple of times last season it was like, OK, we have to force him to play. We have to rush him through because we have nobody else. But now, hopefully, that scenario won't rise again.
Yeah, that's always the plan. But the player himself has to also say, OK, there's a new challenge. There's 4 or 5 top centre-halves. Then you've obviously got the 2, say, youngsters. Nat Phillips isn't a youngster. But you've got the 2 less experienced players, if you like. And you've got to think, well, I want to get ahead of them. So I've got to do my work in the gym. I've got to make sure that all my preparation for the season is being done correctly. Don't cut corners on it. Make sure that you're ready, because if I was sat in the manager's office now with my coaching staff, I'd be looking at it and I'd be going, how many games am I going to get out of him this season? I wouldn't have a clue. And I'd be getting the fitness staff in, the sports scientist guys, and saying, you've got to keep on top of him. He has to be at his absolute strongest. He's got to be physically in the best condition, whether that's his diet, his gym work, because he's an asset to the team. Like Gary said then, he was a standout performer in that lead up to the Champions League final. He was outstanding in the Champions League final. He is a top quality player, but he's not someone you can rely on. So try and turn it round. Sometimes it's not doable. I think more so, definitely in Gary's time, a little bit less in my time. The sports science wasn't there. The level it's at now, use it, make the most of it, because it can actually take your levels up. I'm not even saying 10%, I'd go to 20% because of the diet, the nutrition, but also the gym work that goes into it as well.
The way I'm looking at this season, Gary, and perhaps I'm being a bit naive, a bit too optimistic, is I feel there are a lot of players coming back with energy in their legs. They've had a chance to rest, or whether they've been doing rehab work, or whether they've had a good summer. Could that be a real benefit? We've had Joel Matip. He missed the back end of last season, but he's been working to get fit for now. Virgil van Dijk, the same. Joe Gomez, the same. There's a whole lot of players who didn't play a lot of football last year.
It's massive. I mean, they're back to a really, really strong squad. And who's to say that they won't be adding to that squad as well, with like maybe a couple of new faces as well. No, I think if you've got like the likes of Virgil van Dijk, we all know how good he is. What level can he get back to? Can he get back to that level that we've seen? Because if he gets back to that level, well, you've just signed another £75 million centre back. So all these guys that you've mentioned are like massive, massive boosts for Liverpool's squad for next season. We saw how well we ended up playing with a kind of depleted squad come the end of the season. You know, the run that we went on. You know, that's Liverpool are more than capable of doing that. But with a fully fit Virgil van Dijk, with a fully fit Joe Matip, Joe Gomez, Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain. There's 5, almost 6 players that are going to boost any squad, and they'll certainly boost Liverpool's squad.
A few players were called into action, perhaps a little bit unexpectedly at times last season. Kevin Keller was one.
Yeah.
What do you see as the future for him? This campaign, of course, starts today.
Number 2 goalkeeper. I think he's stepped above Adrian. I think he looks calm, composed when he plays. Good with his feet, starts attacks well. His distribution is very good. But there's almost a sense of the players trust him. There's a fear when you're a defender and you've got a goalkeeper. The biggest thing is he composed in the game, and is he calm enough to deal with the situation? When I watch him, I think he's been outstanding. He's obviously got international recognition now as well, so his stock's gradually growing, and it's a big season for him to try and hold down that number 2 spot.
Okay, well, the atmosphere is building over in Austria, so let's head back there now to catch up once again with our man Peter McDowell.
Well, take it from me, Mark, the players have been talking about this all week. Never has a group of elite footballers looked forward so much to 3,500 people being inside, but they are, and they're promising to make more of a noise than maybe 10,000 will. 15,000 on Thursday, and then of course they have these 2 big games to look forward to at Anfield, where 75% of a full capacity will cheer them on. Where the football is concerned, they come up against a team today who are 2 weeks longer in their pre-season than Liverpool, and Bo Svensson, who knows Jurgen Klopp very well, having been one of their former players, another of their former players to take the job. Very clear that Jurgen Klopp's reign and almost that legacy runs right throughout the club as well. They'll be very eager to beat a strong Liverpool side for tonight. And where the building blocks are concerned, they've been trying to pump into this set of Liverpool players a new identity, a new way of playing over the past couple of weeks, and they know that the next couple of games are going to be really key into how quickly can they take on those ideas if they are to have a tilt at the Premier League title for next year. The squad are fresh, the squad are nearly fully fit again. This could be a really important part of that here tonight.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, great to have fans back in at a Liverpool game. OK, well, the action from Austria is on the way on LFC TV and LFC TV Go next. Can the Reds get their first win of pre-season? Remember, all the other games are on the way on LFC TV across the course of pre-season as well. You won't miss a thing with us. And the fans are out in force. They've made their signs. Not long till the players are in action. It is Mainz against the Reds, and all the action is on the way next.